Caitlin Clark just changed the Indiana Fever forever. There is a brutal reality about the modern WNBA that league executives rarely acknowledge publicly. The game has become a war of attrition. Possessions are violent. Space is punished. And elite offensive players are often forced to survive an environment built specifically to wear them down physically and mentally over the course of a season. For 2 years, Caitlin Clark walked directly into that chaos every single night. Cheap shots, hard hedges, body checks disguised as physical defense. And through all of it, the Indiana Fever often looked painfully unequipped to protect the most valuable offensive engine the league has seen in years. But something has changed. The era of soft responses and passive roster building is over. Because whether the front office wants to admit it publicly or not, Caitlin Clark has effectively become the unofficial architect of Indiana's new identity. And the arrival of Myisha Hines-Allen might be the clearest evidence yet. What looked like a routine roster move on paper is quickly turning into something far more important: a philosophical shift. A declaration, warning to the rest of the league. Hashtag the quote that changed everything during Indiana Fever Media Day. Myisha Hines-Allen sat down in front of reporters and casually revealed something that completely changed how fans viewed the signing. She admitted that the opportunity to play alongside Caitlin Clark was a huge eye-opening moment. Then she went even further. She's one of the greatest players that's ever going to play this game. But the most revealing part came next. Hines-Allen explained that once she heard Caitlin Clark specifically wanted her in Indiana, the decision became easy. No questions about it, she said. And suddenly the picture became clear. This was not just a front office transaction. This was recruitment. This was Caitlin Clark recognizing a structural weakness in her team and actively helping solve it herself. Because after 2 seasons of absorbing relentless physical punishment, Clark understood something before management fully did. The Fever did not just need talent. They needed protection. Fans often misunderstand the value of an enforcer. People hear the word and imagine chaos, technical fouls, fights, cheap retaliation. But true enforcers are far more sophisticated than that. An elite enforcer changes behavior before contact even happens. Their presence alone alters the geometry of the floor. And that is exactly what Myisha Hines-Allen is doing. At 6 foot, one with elite physical strength and defensive instincts, she gives Indiana something they have lacked desperately: psychological resistance. Opposing teams now know there is someone willing to absorb contact, deliver contact, and make every possession physically uncomfortable. Not recklessly, strategically. That distinction matters, because the WNBA's old guard has spent years testing younger stars physically to see who breaks first. And for too long, Indiana looked vulnerable. Now, not anymore. Forget the emotional narratives for a moment. Forget the viral clips. Forget the debates. The analytics are devastatingly clear. At the time of her arrival, Myisha Hines-Allen carried one of the highest defensive impact ratings in the league, posting a staggering positive defensive net rating that immediately elevated Indiana's physical identity. That matters because defensive impact is not about highlight blocks. It is about disruption, position denial, rebounding control, screen setting, switch versatility. The ugly details casual fans often miss. Hines-Allen is not trying to dominate the box score. She is trying to create an environment where Caitlin Clark can operate freely. That is a completely different type of basketball intelligence. And Clark clearly recognized its importance long before much of the front office did. One analyst described Hines-Allen perfectly. She's like security standing at the front door. That comparison sounds simple, but it explains everything. Security guards rarely need to fight anyone. Their presence alone changes behavior. People move differently when they know consequences exist. That is what happens now when teams attack Indiana, when players drive recklessly into the paint, when defenders think about delivering extra contact on Clark, when frustrations start boiling over. There is now someone waiting, watching, responding. And suddenly, the Fever no longer feel like an easy target. That psychological edge cannot be measured fully in statistics. But every serious basketball player understands its value instantly. is where the story becomes fascinating. Because Caitlin Clark is evolving beyond superstar scorer status. She is beginning to think like a franchise architect. That is rare for a player this early in her career. Most young stars focus entirely on individual production. Clark appears to be studying ecosystem basketball, how roster construction affects pace, how physicality impacts durability, how emotional confidence changes performance. That level of awareness is usually associated with veterans who have spent a decade inside championship systems. Clark is learning it in real time, and Indiana's recent move suggests the organization is finally listening. The addition of Hines-Allen also dramatically changes life for Aaliyah Boston. Boston is already one of the most gifted young bigs in basketball. Her offensive footwork, her touch around the rim, her decision-making, all elite. But like many young centers, she has occasionally struggled with the hyper-physical side of professional basketball. Veteran opponents test her constantly,
Push her off spots.
lean on her, challenge her mentally. Now she no longer carries that burden alone. Hines-Allen provides what every elite front court eventually needs: a physical stabilizer. Someone willing to handle the emotional warfare that comes with playoff-level basketball. That freedom allows Boston to focus more energy on what she does best: dominating offensively. Hashtag one important weakness to maintain balance. There is one area where Hines-Allen still must improve within Indiana's system: transition decision-making. When she secures a defensive rebound, the priority has to remain simple: find Caitlin Clark immediately. Do not overdribble. Do not force coast-to-coast possessions unnecessarily. Do not disrupt the offensive rhythm. Indiana becomes historically dangerous when Clark controls transition. Every second the ball stays out of her hands lowers offensivity. That is not some. That is optimism. The terrifying reality for the rest of the WNBA is that Indiana is still learning how dangerous it can become. And they're improving really. Hashtag the end of nice basketball. For years, Indiana often looked reactive, talented but skilled but fragile. Now there is a growing sense that the Fever are embracing something harder, more confrontational, more resilient. Not dirty basketball, not reckless basketball, championship basketball. Because every great dynasty eventually learns the same lesson: skill alone is not enough. You must survive emotionally and physically over an entire season, especially in a league this competitive, especially when every arena treats your superstar like the main event. And make no mistake, Caitlin Clark is the main event. Television ratings prove it. Ticket sales prove it. Arena attendance proves it. The pressure surrounding her is unlike anything women's basketball has seen in decades, which makes Indiana's roster evolution even more important. Because protecting generational talent is not optional. It is organizational responsibility. Hashtag why this move feels different. The most striking thing about Myisha Hines-Allen's arrival is not the statistics. It is the tone shift. Indiana suddenly feels tougher, calmer, more confident. The body language is different. The spacing feels cleaner. Emotional energy feels steadier. And that often happens when teams finally believe someone has their back physically. Basketball changes psychologically when players stop worrying about surviving contact and start focusing entirely on execution. That confidence spreads quickly through a locker room, and opponents feel it immediately. To the league, this move also sends a direct message to the rest of the WNBA. Indiana is done being pushed around, done being treated as inexperienced kids, done watching their superstar absorb punishment without response. That matters because perception shapes competition. For years, veteran teams tested Indiana aggressively because they believed the Fever would not respond physically. Now there is uncertainty, and uncertainty changes everything. Hashtag the future. The terrifying part for opponents is this: Caitlin Clark is still improving. Aaliyah Boston is still improving. Indiana's chemistry is still developing. And now they are adding defensive intimidation on top of elite offensive firepower. That combination is how contenders are built, not overnight, but deliberately, one calculated move at a time. And if Myisha Hines-Allen continues embracing her role the way she is so far, Indiana may have finally found the balance they desperately needed: skill, spacing, leadership, and toughness. The WNBA establishment may not want to admit it yet, but the Fever are no longer simply a young, entertaining team. They're beginning to look dangerous, and Caitlin Clark appears to understand exactly what kind of team she wants built around her. which might be the most important development of all.